Welcome back. Episode All right, welcome back. Episode 11 and 3 after yet another ho-hum easy victory over division rival Chiefs, who, if you didn't know, I made this just a tweet about Antonio Gates and his son Eric Berry over the years, how he's basically dominated him. And Chiefs fans got a hold of that bad boy, and everybody and their mom, it seemed like, had something to say about the Chargers having beat them since this and blah, blah, blah. And since apparently they can't read in the Midwest, they thought that I was talking about the two teams and not two individual players. Fast forward exactly one day, and surprisingly, nobody responded to that tweet after all those just after everything that they were saying. So I actually didn't get a chance to watch the game live. I was at a holiday party, so I really, really wish I would have gotten on here live, because I honestly might have just spent an entire hour going through and responding to everybody that's a Chiefs fan that just said something, and just let them know a little bit how I felt. So maybe that was for the better. Maybe it wasn't. Who knows? Either way, after watching Friday, I was not surprised. Chargers were always going to win. They just like to play around, like to hang around. They like to make things interesting. And when you're literally better than any other team in the NFL, it is, I mean, you want to make things as interesting and competitive since they're on TV, just keep the fans, give the fans what they want. So let's get into this game and kind of bounce around a little bit from there. So first, what was it, like third play or whatever, Rivers has Tyrell Williams, and if he throws that, and there actually wasn't that much pressure on Rivers. If he just hangs in there and throws it maybe 5 yards more, Tyrell is going to run away from just damn near about anybody in the NFL. So it would have been a touchdown. Instead, and I think maybe Chris Jones might have clipped him, but and by that I mean Rivers a little bit, but Williams should have had a touchdown. Instead, he does not. And interception, underthrown ball. That's what happens when Rivers throws off his back foot, but turnover. So that's certainly not how you want to start the game against a division rival that you have not beaten since 1974. But defense comes out. Kansas City marches 49 yards. So they have Mahomes dead to rights. Like, Bosa was very good this game. He didn't finish, but he was all over the quarterbacks. He had Mahomes. He beat his man, had Mahomes on a 3rd and 5. And I think somebody else had him. Oh, it was Isaac Rochelle, who actually had a really good play where he literally ran over the right guard. Like, it's a nice little GIF I had up there, and flushed Mahomes from the pocket. From there, Mahomes turns into just like the wizard that he is and spins out of there, scrambles after retreating like 10 yards, and manages to find the running back wide open for 6 yards and a first down. Man, that's tough. When you have to guard for that long, that's tough to do. So I can't really blame the secondary for giving that up. It's probably on the guys rushing the passer for not bringing down Mahomes. Man, he's a pretty talented dude, and that's pretty obvious as well. So 2 plays later, I think it was not 2 plays later, but it was 2 plays later. So a lot of the same. It was almost the same situation where they have Mahomes dead to rights, and he just spins out of there and finds an open receiver. Ooh-wee, man, that was so I coached defense in high school, and like those are some of the most frustrating things when you're right. Like, you have everything right. You have the right call on. Everybody's guarded, but quarterback breaks loose, and there's just nothing that your guys just aren't getting the job done, whether it's they're not athletic enough or whatever it may be, to surrender the big play. And once a play goes on for more than 4 seconds, it's usually a good thing for the offense. So they were able to convert that into a touchdown. So they took the lead 7-0. And I'm sure after that start, Chargers fans were thinking it was going to be the same old, and that's fair, man. It's just the way that, especially on the road against a very, very good team. So Chargers don't do themselves any favors after just basically they didn't go 3 and out. They had 5 plays and they didn't score or didn't move the ball. What was that? Oh, that was they ended up getting sacked. So D Ford got sacked. Dan Feeney had a tripping call on that play. That KCD line came out to play. I felt like the Chargers O-line has been trending the wrong way lately. And honestly, man, we haven't really talked about it too much because like the first 10 games of the year, Mike Pouncey was balling out, man. He legit looked like one of the best centers in the NFL. The last month or so, he has not been very good. They've tried to do some things where they basically kind of slide their protection and make sure that Pouncey is actually blocking somebody, and whether it's Feeney or Schofield, they're uncovered and they're like the quote unquote help guy. So Pouncey got bull rushed a couple times this game. He got beat for a sack. So I don't know if there's. I honestly, you never want to say this. Like you never want to accuse somebody of being injured because his play's fallen off so much. But he plain and simple, he just hasn't been very good lately, and they need him to be good, and that's going to be something interesting to watch, especially next week, and I guess the next couple weeks, because they're going to see some pretty good D lines. So after that punt, the Chiefs 10 yards, 80 plays, march it down again. So the very first play, Damian Williams, who I mean I've heard of him, I know who he is, but I didn't know that he was like this level of runner. Like that dude is super fast, and he broke the first play for 32 yards. They made a couple other plays after that. Like Mahomes, once again, I was actually having this conversation with one of the Patriots writers. So we were just having the discussion of sacks versus pressures, because pressures they're a big thing, and they have been for a few years, and they matter. I'm not trying to minimize what pressures are, but if you've watched the Chargers over the course of the last few years, you understand like they just don't mean that much. The Chargers, the first 2 plays are the plays that we just talked about. The Chargers had Mahomes dead to rights. Like they pressured him. They basically hit him too, but that doesn't matter because they didn't get the quarterback down. And when you don't get the quarterback down, he still has a chance to make the play. Sacks in drives, pressures do not. And the Chargers paid for it. If you go, there was a third down play where Mahomes scrambled, and like they had him dead to rights again. And I think that was I think Ingram beat his man there, and it was a third down and 3rd and 2, and he was able to run, and he had quite a bit of room after he was able to escape, and he extended the drive. And if they're able to sack him there, the Chiefs punt, and it's 7-0. But Mahomes extends the drive on 3rd down, and they are able to march down and score. So, yeah, I'm well aware of the impact like pressures can have, like, for example, quarterback hits that lead to, like, interceptions and this and that. But, man, you got to get sacks, and that just didn't happen at this juncture of the game. So, 14-0, Chargers get the ball back, and, if they didn't score here, that was probably all she wrote. But they were able to score, and that was where Rivers started off with a deep 38-yard pass to Mike Williams, who, whoa, buddy, did he have a game. Welcome to the NFL, Mike Williams. On that play, he actually had Tyrell running open during the middle of the field, over the middle of the field as well. So that was this game was a pretty good indicator that the Chiefs just are not very good on defense. I mean, and you already knew that, but I'm talking busts and just guys running free all over the place that Rivers might not have had time to hit them, but with that all 22 view, you can definitely see that the chart, like Wiz was on point. Like he had the right call on, and he had guys running open all up and down the field. So he hits Mike Williams. From there, they march, they get down into Kansas City territory. Another sack by Chris Jones, who's just a monster, man. He has a sack 10 games in a row, just a ridiculous streak to have. So there's a couple different things, and I know I'm jumping around here, but on the other touchdown where the second touchdown where the Chiefs scored, there were two wide receivers to the right and two wide receivers to the left. Adai shaded towards the side of the at free safety. Adai shaded toward the wide receivers to the left. The wide receivers that he shaded away from were Travis freaking Kelce and Tyreek Hill. Naturally, Mahomes rolled out that way, and he also he rolled out that way, and he also was late to getting to where he needed to be. So there was, if Adai was probably 2 steps over there, he probably makes a play, but it was incomplete. What I'm getting at is Adai didn't do his job. After the play was over, he was still talking shit to Hill. Like that guy's delusion is something else, man. So I'm just getting back to the drive here. I honestly thought the run blocking, so like the pass blocking, the pass pro stuff was not very good, but there's some pretty good holes. And honestly, Sam Tevi had this one block where he just destroyed one of the linebackers, and Justin Jackson was running tough. That was good to see, man. I think they're going to get excuse me. I think they're going to get Melvin Gordon back, so that'll be nice. We can talk about that a little later. But yeah, it was good to see. It was good that they were still able to move the ball on the ground without Gordon, without without Eckler as well. So yeah, Justin Jackson looked legit. Whether it's short passes that he was able to take for 8 yards, a couple yards here and there, or just runs that he was able to break off chunks with. So the Chargers were able to drive down, and once they got down there, it was pretty obvious that they felt like they had a nice matchup with Mike Williams, and did they ever take full advantage of that. So it was a moss drill, essentially. They just threw it up. He had a mouse guarding him. Whoever the guy was came up to like Mike Williams' waist level. So you'd be dumb not to throw it to him. So they threw it up to him. He left the ball, and they scored. So 14-7. And not only that, they were able to get the Chiefs to go 3 and out following that. So that's how you do it, man. I know that they're still behind here, but the sign of good teams, or the sign of basically teams that are ready to play, they will score and then they will get a stop. That's how you know the team is good. So the Chargers were able to do that. And next play, though, so we're getting into the drive right before the half, and this was a mammoth drive. I'm talking 15 plays, 84 yards, over 7 minutes gone off the clock. And they started off the drive with Mike Williams again. And I think by now, I don't remember what play it was. And you guys would know because you watched it live. So maybe it was Allen. Allen got hurt when he dove and like had the one-handed catch in the end zone. I wasn't too sure. Like, I don't know when he left. I just remember like, wait, what happened to him? So I think now he is gone. So first play come out, Mike Williams, 14 yards. 2 plays later, Newsome breaks a run for 16 yards. 2 plays later, it's 2nd and 15 after yet another sack by Chris Jones, who, whether it's Dan Feeney, Pouncey, Schofield, that guy was, oh man, he's a real deal. He was a player. So 2nd and 15, but they're able to get a chunk play to Tyrell Williams. And on that play, Chris Jones did have a quarterback hit, which, as you know, like that, what does that matter? There should be an asterisk next to that. So he had a quarterback hit, but the offense gained 26 yards. So what value does that really have? Okay, so back to the drive. They are down on, it's 3rd and 2, and Tyrell Williams able to convert 5 yards. I want to say he fumbled, but I think he got it back. So after the 2-minute warning, Chris Jones, once again, like only Chris Jones can, sacks the quarterback, but Justin Houston was there as well. Like, the Chiefs are they're so bad at defense, but the thing that keeps them in these games all the time is just their pass rush, man. That matters. Like, timely pass rush matters. So They were able to get a sack, and moving on, 2nd and 10 from the Kansas City 11. Rivers throws one of the most boneheaded interceptions you could possibly throw. He throws it off his back foot into the corner of the end zone for Tyrell Williams when there's 2 players right there, and Williams Tyrell has like nowhere to go. So like there's no room at all. He's cornered in the end zone. But so he just didn't make the play. 14-7 at that point. They could have certainly used any sort of points right there, touchdown, field goal, anything. But we're not able to do that. And the good news is the defense had 38 seconds to get a stop on the Chiefs. And it might not seem like a lot, but you guys know that this Chiefs offense can go, man. They have stars everywhere and a big-time quarterback. So the defense getting a stop at that point of the game, 4 plays, 19 yards on the drive, that was big time. And that was we probably didn't talk about or acknowledge the defense enough for getting a stop right there. So just moving forward, just going through the second half or getting through the second half, that's when it became obvious that, man, like something's up with Pouncey, and he was just getting beat. He was getting beat pretty bad. There was another play later in the game where Rivers actually threw and it was another bad pass. He made up his mind what he was going to do before the play had even started, and I put like a little video of it on my timeline where it was a double move, I believe, to Travis Benjamin. The safety didn't bite at all. Like Rivers just kind of pumped, but the safety was going nowhere, and the ball actually landed right in his hands. Benji did a good job of not giving up on the play and knocking out of the safety's hands. But on that play, it was 3rd down. It was 3rd and 10. Justin Jackson was coming out of the backfield, and he just like broke Daniel off. He's a rookie out of the rookie linebacker out of Clemson. He broke him off, and there's probably 20 yards of space after that. So, and he had time, but just one of those things that Rivers tends to do. He kind of predetermines every now and then. I would say usually that's the case down the field, but it was 3rd down. I believe they had to punt on that drive. But coming out of the half, both teams were able to get a touchdown. They actually went touchdown, punt, touchdown. So neither team could really stop anybody at that point. And then that's when the Chargers were able to they were also able to get another 3 and out. So that defense came up big. And it's weird to say that the defense came up big when you gave up 28 points, but I mean, we're talking about a team that is just ridiculously stacked. So coming out of the half, the Chiefs 16-yard Travis Kelce, 33 yards, deep pass to Tyreek Hill. And on that was it was like one of those zone beaters that teams do to the Chargers. Adai actually had like a beat on the play and this kills me, man. One of the most frustrating things about watching him play is that dude will never try to make a play on the ball. If you guys remember that play, he's running towards Tyreek Hill, and if he just jumps up in the air, he has a chance. But he's so like set on taking out his lower half that he doesn't even try to break up the pass. So he tackles him, sure, but if he goes up and gets it, it's a tough contested catch for Tyreek Hill. Anyways, 33 yards, nothing doing. Then Mahomes throws a really nice back shoulder to Kelvin Benjamin, where Davis actually had pretty solid coverage. That's one of those throws where you just can't do much about it. So Kansas City takes 2 touchdown lead, 21-7. So another situation where Chargers have to have points, man. You can't not score when the Chiefs score. So come out, Tyrell 17 yards. I don't know what his stat line was, but it seemed like he had some pretty timely plays. And there were some really good anticipation throws in this game by Rivers when he was pressured as well. So that was I think that was one of them where he actually threw it like 10 yards before Tyrell even looked. and Tyrell made a nice job, made a nice play where he like slid, running right by a linebacker. It was actually a lot like the Tyreek Hill play, just running the other direction. Moving on from that, Newsome had a nice run to get them down into the Kansas City 20-yard line, and that's when they ran that reverse to Mike Williams, who that play was like really clean. That was a really nice design. The Chargers came out in like a bunch formation, like a trips left, 3 receivers to the left, bunch, and they actually have had really good success on that little sweep play that they run. That's where a lot of Melvin Gordon's untouched touchdowns came from. Eckler has had the same, where they just block it so well that they can just outrun everybody. So they ran a counter off of that and pulled, I believe it was, I don't remember if it was Feeney or Pouncey. They pulled somebody with Mike Williams, and he was just able to kind of run clean. It was a really nice design, and they haven't ran that yet. So they've been hiding that in their back pocket. That was nice to see. So touchdown, 14-21, and luckily a holding penalty. And right about now is when like the Chargers D-line started to come alive. Like Bosa was feeling it, Ingram was coming alive, and they were just getting timely rushes from some of the guys inside, whether it was Nwosu, Rochelle. I really, really, really liked the idea of, so it would be Nwosu, just going from left to right. It would be Nwosu on the outside. It would be Rochelle at D tackle. It would be Ingram at D tackle. And then it would be Bosa at D end. Like that was when they were at their best. We actually didn't see it. I want to say that didn't happen for over, that was probably somewhere in between 5 to 10 snaps. But man, I would love to see that a lot more moving forward, because that's when they were getting their most pressure. That's when they're best at it. I think I actually don't think Bosa's too good when he rushes inside, when they move him inside. I think they should just let Ingram do that and kind of leave Bosa to just do what he does best. That way he kind of has like a two-way go out there, and he doesn't have somebody to help chip him, if that makes sense. But 14-21, Chiefs have the ball back, and that's where it was 3rd and 4. And I swear that was like the first time that we saw Derwin on Kelce. And I was pretty excited about this matchup. I thought we'd see a lot more of those guys, because, I mean, we're talking about 2 of the best players at their position. And if the Chargers go man coverage like that, why wouldn't you put them on? We saw earlier in the game, whether it was Phillips, Brown, I think those were like the 2 main guys on Kelce. They just couldn't stick with him. And even if they did, they just weren't, whether it was long enough or big enough to make a play when the ball was thrown. So Kelce ended up running like a little whip route where he just kind of fakes inside and runs back out. And Derwin just doesn't bite, doesn't fall for it at all. Secures the tackle for a gain of 1, punt. However, Chargers don't do anything when they get the ball back. So that they had a play just get wrecked. I think Pouncey got wrecked by Derek Nottie, who was a guy that the Chargers were actually in on. And if he was on the board during that 3rd round, he would have been the guy. Didn't happen. Oh, well. And, I mean, he's a better player than Justin Jones to me. But he wrecked Pouncey. And then on 3rd and 10, they try to go up top to Travis Benjamin. Nothing there. So it is 21-14. It is the 4th quarter, and Chiefs get the ball back. Or sorry, they took the ball out over with a minute left in the 3rd quarter. They're able to march 13 plays, 73 yards, take 8 minutes off the clock, and it is 28-14. Talk about taking the wind out of your sail. So 2nd and 15, after just Melvin Ingram got a holding call. Melvin Ingram was very, very active. This is probably one of his best games. It was the best game since Bosa had been back. He just got a tackle for loss, or he got a tackle for loss. They actually declined it just because it was a holding call. Next play, they are able to make force an incomplete pass. However, Joey Bosa gets a face mask penalty, keeps the drive alive, and then from there, Chiefs are able to march down after a couple plays. Oh, they had King on Kelce a few times. I wish I knew the exact target numbers, but King is very good in a specific role. In man-to-man coverage against Travis Kelce, that's just not a good matchup for him. Like there is a guy on the roster that can take away Kelce, and that guy is not Desmond King. And like I've grown to become a very big fan of King, but man-to-man coverage against a guy that big, probably not his forte. So that keeps the drive alive, and then the Chiefs are able to end up scoring, and I think they just like a 1-yard touchdown run. So 28-14 probably felt like this one was all she wrote. Chargers actually bounce back. Then they come back and score with only taking 4 minutes off the clock. So that was a big deal. Didn't want they took over with a little over 8 minutes left. You didn't want them to, have one of those slow, methodical drives. So a little 4-minute offense. That's good stuff by them. Again, it feels like every drive that I've talked about, it started out with Tyrell Williams. So he had a 14-yard gain. And when I mentioned that Justin Jackson, he beat the linebacker, it looks like so they had to see that on the sideline, because the very next series, they come out and do the same thing. They just have Jackson run that route the other way, and Jackson was able to go 16 yards. So right around the yardage that I mentioned before. But we haven't talked about this yet, and that guy Antonio Gates was pretty damn good this game. He was open a lot more than he got the ball, which I don't feel like that has really been the case. I don't know, man. It must be the Chiefs. He's just like the Chiefs killer, because he's always owned Eric Berry, and he finished the game with 4 catches and 54 yards, but he could have had a lot more than that. He was just, I think he had I want to say he had a penalty, or like he forced them to call a penalty on him, but he was just getting open at every level. Usually he gets open just like underneath, like on the between 5-7 yards. But this game, man, he was showing out. He was getting open downfield. They put Sorensen on him, like 49, their safety. He just had no answer for Gates. They also put some of their linebackers. They have some younger linebackers, and he's just I don't know how to describe how he gets open, but it's really frustrating, because I'm wondering what is he doing? He still has like a little shiftiness, like a little wiggle to him. It's like that helps, but to watch like a professional athlete fall for what he does is kind of hilarious. But man, shout out to Gates. He balled out, and he had some big plays, and they really needed him to do so. One was 3rd and 2, where I'm sure you've seen a GIF. He basically just like fakes like he's going in, and then they fall for it, and he breaks back to the outside. He had a couple first downs on the final drive, and I also want to shout out Rivers on the last 2 drives. I believe he was 10-16 for 126, and just big throw after big throw, man. Some of the throws, the 2 throws to Travis Benjamin were insane. He's throwing the ball before these guys are well before these guys have their heads turned. That's like with a quarterback like this, it's so easy to feel confident that your offense will move the ball down the field. Like I've seen, like you guys saw the Jets on Saturday when they took the ball over, they just had no idea, and that's just like a rookie quarterback. But you see it around the league quite a bit of times. Brady does it over and over, where he can drive down the field. Rivers has shown that as the game goes on, man, he's clutch. And the Chiefs fans, oh boy, they were pretty quick to blame the refs for this one. But I mean, come on, let's not act like the refs didn't aid some of the Chiefs' drives as well. It was a terrible game for the refs. Like that can happen, but you could all at the same time, like the Chiefs, your team that you root for is the reason that you lost. It had nothing to do with the refs. They were bad for both sides. What I would say is the refs did not leave Mike Williams one-on-one in the end zone. I could go through like 20 plays where you can't blame that on the refs. It's 4th down, and your best corner, like the best corner you traded for, could not stop the one of the I mean, I don't want to talk down on Travis Benjamin because he had a very, very good game and came up huge for the team. But like your best corner was on the Chargers' fourth or fifth receiver, and he couldn't stop him. Like that is not a ref's problem. That is a you problem. So good on the Chargers for that regard. But yeah, Mike Williams, man, came up big, 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 had a couple moss drills. I don't know. There was a lot of times he actually could have had another one, but Rivers missed him. So he could have 10 touchdowns on the year, but that feels like it's getting greedy. Either way, the pass interference at the end of the game, blah, whatever. Still make a play. They didn't. And then like I mentioned, the coverage bust at the end of the game. You really don't see that too often where people are where defense is just they have coverage busts like that on like the 1 yard line. That's really tough to do, but it happened, and the Chargers were able to prevail. So I've seen so many comments from the Chiefs fans, and it's pretty hilarious. One Chiefs fan said that the Chargers are weak for going for two. Like if that's not the most loser thing that I've ever heard in my life. If you like, who wants to play for overtime? What logic would the Chargers have to, like, why would you give Patrick Mahomes another chance at home to win? What better chance do the Chargers have than being at the 2 yard line? They've had success for the entire half. The odds that they just get down there in that situation they're just nowhere near as high as them being in the situation they were. It was a no-brainer, and I love the idea. I love the fact that it just seemed like it was done with conviction. Like Anthony Lynn was going to go for two, and like you saw with the Broncos on 4th and 1, Vance, like that's just the difference between good coaching and confidence in your quarterback and in your offense. So that's cool, and I hope that we kind of see that aggression from Lynn moving forward, because if you remember that against the Steelers, that early 4th and 1 where they decided to kick a field goal, that's just not the mentality you have when you have an offense and Phillip Rivers, man. So that was a hell of a game. It was great to watch on the rewatch. I really wish I could have got there live. So looking over here, again, shout out to Travis Benjamin, man. He was amazing. Antonio Gates, even better. Mike Williams, even better. The decision to go for it was everything. Somebody said that Tyreek Hill is the best receiver in the NFL. Yeah, he had 7 touches for 41 yards, and 33 of those came on that corner play where a guy just refused to even. I mean, he didn't even go for the ball. So they I'm pretty sure that decision right there, like in my opinion, and I don't want to sound like a homer, but I'm sure I am. And that decision right there locked up the coach of the year for Anthony Lynn. But I also think that drive had a very big a little impact on the MVP, man. If Rivers can stay hot, if Rivers can be hot, and because he has another primetime game against the Ravens, if he can maybe throw for 3 or 4 touchdowns and the Chargers can win convincingly, that might do it, man. But what else do we have? We have coach of the year, possible MVP, defensive rookie of the year is Derwin James, and he's going to have another chance on prime time, and that matters to voters because I don't know if you guys are into betting, but usually the public they remember the last thing that they see. So if Derwin can make a couple plays against the Ravens, I'm feel like it's pretty safe to say that he'll be the defensive rookie of the year. I don't know how this will work, but man, if Mike Williams, if he can finish with 10 touchdowns, what is it? I don't know when a player has won a comeback player of the year in their second season, but it's tough to vote against him. I mean, who else would it be? I don't know. Maybe does Andrew Luck? Oh, Andrew Luck's gonna win that. Never mind. Scratch that. So yeah, just getting back to the Chiefs, man. They've been talking a lot of stuff, and I mean, I'd be upset too. They have a worse quarterback. they have probably a worse everything. But yeah, Tyreek Hill, he's not the best receiver in the NFL. Come on, man. That was like circling around. One of the good questions that I had was just out of all the playoff teams, like who would you most rather play? So the Chargers have the Ravens coming up, and in my opinion, the Ravens are a great matchup for the Chargers. The Ravens are very, very, very good on defense. I'm talking like one of the 5 best units pretty easily, in my opinion. And Lamar has them rolling just as far as a ground game. They seem a lot more efficient than they were under Flacco. And they just, I mean, the only time that they're not efficient is when Lamar like will fumble the snap or like he'll fumble the ball. But he went for over, I believe he went for over 100 yards on Sunday. I want to say that under every start they've rushed for over 200 yards. Or he's had 5 starts, I think, or four starts, whatever it may be. The one time they didn't go over for 100 yards, they went for 190. So, or sorry, 198. So they can run the ball and they can play good defense. They have 3 guys over 7 sacks. So with that being said, I do think that their team speed matters, and they're not the swiftest bunch. And on offense, it's really just like the Lamar show, and they have that Gus running back who's pretty solid. He's straight. He's good. But on the perimeter, like they don't have guys that can really hurt you. Willie Snead was their top target today. I'm not sure what's up with Crabtree. I don't know if he's injured or not, but like those are not the guys that give Casey Hayward problems or that will give Michael Davis problems. It's usually like the uber athletes that give them problems. So out of all the playoff teams right now, the team that I'd be most comfortable playing is the Ravens. And I think I kind of ruffled some feathers here because I actually said the Patriots next, and it's easy to say like that was before the fact that they lost. I'm actually recording this just right as that game just completed. So the Steelers just beat the Patriots, and they only scored 10 points, and they didn't look great. But my train of thought here is they just don't have that much firepower, and that might sound stupid with Josh Gordon and Rob Gronkowski and Julian Edelman, but a lot of those guys, it just seems like this year more than ever, the team is inconsistent. And yes, I know that was on the road, and Heinz Field is a tough spot to play in. But you know who did not lose in Heinz Field? You are correct. So the lack of pass rush, like the Patriots defense is just they're not good. They're not as bad as the Chiefs, but they're honestly not too far behind. They do not get after the passer like the Chiefs do, in my opinion anyway. It's just we're rushing. I know their pressure numbers are really good, but we've that's kind of what brought that conversation up. Pressure just kind of overrated. But after that, I went Texans just because I think, mobile quarterback Deshaun Watson, he always keeps a play alive. And you guys saw Nuke Saturday night, man. He's something else. And then they have speed. They have that Kiki Coty. They have Demaryius Thomas, and whoever their punt returner is. I forget his name off the top of my head, but they have guys that can take these passes and then turn like these 5-yard gains into 20+ gains. And not to mention the running backs. I honestly don't even know if Lamar Miller played, but shoot, he's had plenty of explosive runs this year. So Texans, just because that pass rush and some of their weapons on offense, I do say they're better than the Texans or the Patriots at this point. And then I say Chiefs. Chiefs are still good. Chiefs still have plenty of good players, but Steelers are the team that I'd be most scared of, which is kind of weird to say after the Chargers just came back from them. But man, it goes back to just explosive players. They're going to have James Conner back in the playoffs. They're going to, Big Ben's going to make some plays. He's going to make some boneheaded plays, and he's been consistent with that. But I don't know, Juju and Antonio Brown, man, they scare the life out of me. And I'm not sure there's a player on the Chargers that can really shut those two down. So I just lean with quarterbacks and firepower, and that's why I go Steelers in that sense. So I really wish that I could just go down the line and just talk shit to all the Chiefs fans, because they were giving me a lot of grief, and which is cool, man. I don't care about that at all. It doesn't bother me, but I wish this was live just so I could just call out every one of them because they were so unbearable. And it was for like 24. It was honestly for like a day straight, just responding to everything. And it's just terrible jokes. It seems like, yeah, I don't know. I don't want to I don't want to get too graphic, but it was a good win, man. It was a great win, better than good win. The Chargers are for real. There's no way around that now. So first of all, they have more victories over winning teams than the Chiefs. I'm going off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure that that's correct. So thankfully, we don't have to hear that stupid ass argument anymore of who have they played, who have they beat, because they went into one of the two of the top teams in the NFL on the road, came back and beat them. So if that's not going to convince you, man, I don't know what else will. Anthony Lynn, 12-1 over his last 13, 20-6 since that 4-game losing streak to open the year. Like they are prepared. It's crazy. Derwin said something about Phillip Rivers the other day where like he loves him so much. He said after the game that he loves him so much and that Phil genuinely cares for like everybody else and like has their back. If you just hear some of the quotes that these guys have about each other, like it's a legit brotherhood. So we really don't talk about the emotional side of football too much, but these guys, man, when you have like somebody next to you, like you guys know, just like think about your work. Like how much do you enjoy coming to work when you have a job that you have somebody where, man, you just like you're cool with them. Like you guys can have like casual conversation as opposed to somebody that's just going to bug the hell out of you and make you want to leave by the time lunch hits. Like there's a difference between that. You guys know the difference. So the Chargers are clearly the former. Like they're always celebrating with each other. They're always talking good about each other. There's not much finger pointing. Like you see in the secondary, there's a little like after a big play, even after it's an incomplete, they're always talking to each other, but they're never like harping on each other. I think that's really cool, man. But accountability, man, shout out to Lynn for changing the culture. And we are seeing a completely different team. And I think we are seeing the best team in the AFC. Unfortunately, they still need help. So hopefully Seattle is able to pull it off next week. And, the Chargers are able to win out because, man, that bye would be something else. And it feels like they deserve the bye. But we all, as soon as when they lost to Denver, when the Chargers lost to Denver, that game was always going to come back to haunt them. And they are definitely kicking themselves for that right now. But, man, 11-3. I don't care. You could be the biggest homer you want to, but 11-3, that was just I don't know. I would have said pass what you're smoking, pass what you're drinking. I'll take all of that because man, you would have to have a perfect season to go 11-3. And think about it, man. They've had anything but a perfect season with just the injuries that they've lost some like their best players, and they're still able to persevere. Man, that's a sign of good coaching. They still have plenty of good players, but that's a sign of good coaching and then just being prepared. So 11-3, we are going to. So I'm actually going to the game next week, so I won't be able to get on live, but I'm going to record. I'll try to get somewhere after the game. Hopefully I can find some quiet space. I might just mess around and skip that until the next morning. We'll see, man. Either way, I think next week's going to be a fun game. I do think the Chargers are going to win. The look-ahead line was like 5. Chargers were 5-point favorites. So let's do it, man. It's going to be a good one. Clinch the playoffs, 11-3, beat the Chiefs finally. So I stop after hearing those stupid jokes. Jesus, those got old. And I think it's pretty clear that the Chargers are the real deal. So we will touch base this time next week. Fellas, thanks for listening. Go team.